In September of 2018, I had the opportunity to work with one of the best powerlifters in the world, Kelly Branton. Kelly is a 7-time Canadian national champion, bronze medalist at the 2015, 16, and 17 Powerlifting World Championships, silver medalist at the 2018 championship, and is the first Canadian to ever squat 900 pounds and bench 600 pounds. In his quest to squat 1,000 pounds in competition, Kelly has struggled to hip depth due to a feeling of stiffness in his hips. In forcing himself into a deeper position, his lower back would lose stability, as you can see with these lifts, which has led to back pain. Today, I want to share with you the initial evaluation I performed with Kelly at my 2018 Squat University seminar in Toronto. The audio was a little rough, so I'll do my best to explain what was going on and let you listen in on a couple parts. The first thing I did with Kelly was check his body weight squat. As you can see, he was not able to drop below parallel. While Kelly doesn't need to squat ass to grass for a passing squat in his powerlifting competition, he still should have the ability to perform an air squat to a greater depth, slightly below parallel. In his attempt to push through this mobility restriction when lifting is likely a big reason why he developed his movement problems. I also asked him to perform a single leg squat. Now, while I don't ever expect him to bust out a full depth pistol squat on one leg, everyone should have the ability to perform a small depth single leg squat, and the inability to do so, which Kelly, you'll see here, struggles with, shows that he has a small weak link in his movement control of his body.
It's okay. We're just writing, we're making mental notes, okay? We're finding all the different pieces to the puzzle that's going to clue us as to what our fix is. Okay, taking what I'm saying. Back up. Okay, one more time. Okay, how about that look compared to the other side? Lift a little bit better. What side is he shifting? Okay, he shifts away, shifts into the back side. Okay, so every single thing is just a little bit of a clue.
We used a simple 5-inch wall test on each leg to test his level of ankle mobility. I told him to put his foot around 5 inches from this makeshift wall and see if he could touch his knee to it without letting his heel pop off the ground.
So we're about 3 fingers on that side. Okay, that's about how much mobility he has. Okay, and then his foot right there. On that side. Okay, look at that. An entire fist. So right there, we're about that much of a difference side to side in mobility.
That's the Achilles side too.
Exactly. Which makes sense. So we always have to bring a history of injury into our assessment, because now I know that's probably makes sense why he had an Achilles tendon rupture, he was surgically repaired, but he still has lasting effects from it. So from that, I can tell, A, he didn't pass the test. Now, does every single person need a full 5 inches? Okay? I want to get close to it. Okay? If we're 3 fingers on one side, but then a full fist distance away on the other side, that's showing us, A, we have an asymmetry. Okay? So that means that already our body is absorbing different forces and moving just a little bit differently at the bottom of a lift because of the different side to side, but also we have that tightness that is limiting us on both sides. So we have a difference when it's moving. Does that make sense? Okay, so let's go back or hip mobility next. Let's just lay on the ground.
I then did a quick assessment of his hip range of motion, looking at flexion and internal rotation on both sides. His hip motion was actually pretty good, again solidifying my idea that his technique issues were likely more so coming from his ankle mobility restrictions.
Me relaxing, okay? So right there, I can take his knee further past that. So he has necessary mobility. Now, is that a really crazy stretch? No. No? Feels all right? No pinch pain or anything like that? Good. All right. So he has necessary. You have necessary hip mobility. So from here, camera rotate in, rotate out. Okay. You're just like JP, man. You got a lot of hip rotation. Oh, I'm strong. Good. And let's go on this side. Okay, so from here, okay, thigh, a little bit tighter. Okay, painful at all, any pinching pain? Okay, but again, look at that. We're moving that knee much further past that hip crease.
Next, we looked into the coordination of his hips. I like to use the single leg bridge test as a method to assess how the body is producing hip extension, the motion of rising from the bottom of a squat. Ideally, the glutes should be working the hardest during this movement. Let's listen in to what Kelly felt.
So you feel your back? A little bit, Yeah. Okay, so feel the back a little bit, feel the quads and hammies working hard. Yeah. You don't feel your ass moving.
Not much.
Not much. So his butt muscles are asleep on his left side.
That's why my ass is so small.
There we go. That's why his butt's so small. Good. Back down. Okay? Now, side to side. Okay? No. A couple seconds. Okay? You always want to hold it a couple seconds to really get a real feel. Same thing. Exact same on both sides. Very different. You lift it a little bit higher on that side. Okay. Quads and hammies. Okay, so not much blood. There we go. So, effectively, someone that's squatting 1,000 pounds has what I would say is an imbalance in how he's creating hip extension. Ideally, his glutes aren't functioning as well as they should, because that's something that we want those glutes to be firing to produce the most amount of hip extension. That's a reason why a lot of us develop these asymmetries in the way in which we're moving, these technique problems, and we develop back pain, because now all of a sudden, in order to get out of the bottom, we're relying on other muscles to do more than their jobs are meant to do. Does that make sense? Gotcha. Okay, so on your side face out. Okay, this is something that we didn't do, but if we had a little bit more time, I would. Okay, he's also showing a hip shift a little side to side. So I also want to check out the lateral hip strength. Now remember, we're testing glute medius. Yes, this is a strength test, but I also would go about fixing it in more of a stability manner, not just pure strength. Because strength is just the ability to use force. Stability is the ability to limit excessive or unwanted motion, right? So this looks straight, we're going to lift it up and back. Okay, hold right here. Okay, now don't let me push your leg down. Nice and strong. Hold, hold, hold. Pretty good. Okay, switch over to the other side. Back. Hold right here. Nice and strong. Push down. A little bit weaker on that side. Okay. So we have right there a little bit of an imbalance in how this side is producing hip strength. Makes sense why we're a little shifting.
Our first fix that we wanted to work on was improving his ankle mobility through some foam rolling. Because it was difficult for him to lie down and foam roll his calf muscles, we opted in for a partner soft tissue mobilization. This was much easier for him to get the work done without putting himself in a very difficult position.
We can take this in this position, in rolling. Is that pretty tender? Push hard. There we go. Okay. So I'm going to be a nice friend to Kelly, and I'm going to do just my own soft tissue work to him as well while he relaxes. There we go. So again, what are we doing? We're doing like a minute. Okay. Today we won't do maybe that one. Oh yeah, that's fine. But we're going to do just a little bit. Okay.
This foam rolling was followed with a lunge stretch for each leg, making sure to keep our stretch times around 10 seconds in order to improve ankle mobility, but not take away from the natural power development these muscles need to generate with heavy squatting. After 5 rounds of 10-second stretching on each side, we retested his ankle mobility from the prior test, and this is what we found.
So let's see how far can we get this time. Okay. There we go. So we're closer to 3, maybe 4 fingers right there. Before, we're full fist. Okay? That's a small change, right? I don't expect it to be night and day, but that's what, 2 exercises? And you already saw a little bit of change. Let's see what we got on those. Almost all the way touching, right? That's good. That's showing we're on the right path. Always test and then retest. Because that way you're able to show yourself whether or not you're efficient in the exercises you're doing. Remember, I don't need you to do an hour warm-up every time you come into the gym. But you better be able to pick a couple things that are going to be efficient at helping you then hit the positions that you need to be in more effectively. Great looking technique. That's one right there. We'll right on this guy from right here. Okay, so next thing, right? Glute muscles, those butt muscles were not turning on. Even though he's squatting a crap ton of weight, those butt muscles just aren't as efficient as they could be. Okay, so let's go behind your back.
Because Kelly had an issue in generating proper coordination by turning on his glutes during the single leg bridge test, I regressed him back to the double leg bridge with a band across his knees as a corrective exercise to turn on those glutes.
There we go. Okay, a couple of modified bands that you can get out there. This is from Gym Logic. Mark Bell has his hip circle, same thing. What we're doing is in the single leg version, we test it. In the double leg version, we fix it, okay? So, drive the heels into the ground, pick the toes up just a little bit. Okay? What I want you to do is pick your hips up, and you're driving your heels on the ground, squeeze your butt muscles as hard as you can. Drive your knees out against the paint. Good? Up. Yep, just like that. Now squeeze your butt muscles as hard as you can. Feel them turning out. Okay? 5-second hold, and back down. Okay, now I want you to do today 10 of these. That's it. Okay, now here's the big thing. Prior to his training, the last thing I want to do is tire him out with 5 sets of 20 reps, right? Because then he's not going to be as efficient whenever he's training. So every single exercise I want to give him, on his off days I may have him do a couple more sets, but prior to his training, I want to give him just enough as a primer to make sure that I'm getting those muscles turned on so that he can then use them efficiently whenever he's lifting his bigger weights. So a lot of times if you hear 3 sets of 20, that's a lot of reps. If you're doing that prior to your training, you may be fatiguing yourself too much to where when you then get under the bar, you don't have any strength or power to then do your training. That's why we're there, right? Does that feel okay? Butt muscles burning like crazy? Oh yeah, that's good. So I've already shown he's doing right. How's your back feel? Fine? Good. Very good. So remember, what are our cues? Heels into the ground, toes can pick up a little bit. Now, if he had a lot of tension in the front side of his leg, his anterior tib muscles are spasming a lot from picking the toes up, the toes can be down on the ground. You just want to be driving through the heel a little bit more to get the posterior chain turned on a little bit more. The band is around the knees to drive out, okay, so we can get those hips turned on a little bit. But then also our main job with this is to prime that glute max, the biggest, strongest muscles of the entire body, to drive out that hip extension, priming them so that when you're lifting the big weights, you're using them the right way. That feel okay? Good. All right, so take it off. Okay, now the one last hip primer that I want to do. Turn your side face me. I want to get those lateral glutes turned on just a little bit. Okay, now this is something you could just do a few of them. Take your knees like this. You can jump like that. Okay. Just hold that for 10 seconds. Okay, you should start putting that downside. Okay. What are we accomplishing with this? Not only am I getting that glute medius to turn on because it's a stabilizer in 10 seconds and back down, but I'm also, what is this? This is one of the McGill Big Three. This is a core stability exercise, the side plank. Exactly. What we're doing is we're efficiently getting that oblique, that quadratus lumborum. We're getting a little bit of stimulus for core stability. Okay, coming back up. Try this like, let's do forward blows on each side. 10 seconds. Let me try the other side. I want you to like. You remember when he was talking about his prior injury, when he had a back injury, where was he leaning? Exactly. So likely he was having some issues in side to side, how his body was managing his stability. So if we only did exercises in the frontal plane, front and back, right, crunches, extensions, we're never really getting the full appreciation of what core stability truly is. Just like the radio tower, with all those guide wires that come off of it, we have to hit each and every one of them to make sure that we're giving proper core stability to the entire structure as a whole. Okay, we got the other side. Okay, awesome. Different on this side. Okay, so it's going to feel a little bit harder on this side because remember that was the hip that when I had him try to hold it up there, I could push it down a little bit easier. Whenever you're trying to squat 1,000 pounds, if you've got those differences side to side in how your body is coordinating going up and down, we're probably going to see some shifts, some small breakdowns. That's a difference between a make and a miss. That's a difference between no pain and crippling backward. Especially when you're at that very, very high intensity that only a few people in the world ever get to. How's that feel? That's up. So all these things, like, I wouldn't have him do every single one of these ones prior to his training. As you can see how warmed up he is right now with these, right? Some of these are going to be things to do on the off day. How many days a week do you squat?
One big one. Depending on the cycle, that might be just like hot squats and stuff like that.
Okay. So he's only squatting maybe once, twice a week. So that means that we've got a couple other days that I can maybe do these as just a warm up or just a recovery day. Okay. So those were a few things for priming and coordination. Okay, now we've got 2 more things that we're going to do, okay, before we get under, or one of them is getting under the barbell, but one of them is that deep goblet squat stretch. This is just a great primer. So the next time the coach is, hey, go warm up, okay, I got a couple things I can do, right? Now, with a big man, I don't want to give him a 20-pound kettlebell, right? That's not going to help him offset his body weight very well. So let's try this. Here is a 50-pound kettlebell. Just hold that right now, okay? I'm going to grab a much smaller one. We're just going to hold it right here, okay? Now just squat as deep as you can and hold that right up front. Okay? Now eventually your elbows can go rest underneath, okay? And just sort of sink down into it a little bit more. Let those hips drop as much as possible. How's that feel? Is that a great stretch right there? Yeah. Where are you feeling it at?
Well, I don't really feel like I feel it in my hips.
Okay.
You know?
Yeah.
A little bit on my outer knees.
Okay. Okay. Anything in the ankles at all?
They just feel good.
They just feel good now. Exactly. Can you guys see where he's at right now?
Yeah.
That hip crease is about 3 to 4 inches underneath the top of his knees. He wasn't even close to that a couple minutes ago. We just did a couple stretches. Okay? Now, why is this one so good? Yeah, you can come back up. Okay, something like that again. I don't need him sitting down there for a full 2 minutes. Right? Because that's doing a lot of passive stretching. Okay, something like that for him. 10, 20 seconds, max. Right? Just do a few of them, 1 or 2. Okay? And what we're going to do now, okay, we just did one, okay, just try regular squat, okay, hands out front. Let's do this thing. Look at that, okay, hip crease right there, we're well, so we're 2 inches under parallel, okay, and that's body weight. So think about what happens when I get 700 pounds stacked on top of that. He's making that depth.
So I'm good for the year.
He's good for the year, and that's all you need to do. But what's that showing us? We did a few exercises, okay, and he's primed and ready to go. We didn't do any long duration stretches that some people may tell you to do, because what would that do? Instantly just drain his power, drain his ability to have that spring to get him right out of the bottom. Okay, and he now has depth, and he's probably got his butt muscles turned out a little more, so he's feeling a little more coordinated. Now, here's one more thing I would have him do with his very first set, with a band that's a little bit bigger. We won't do it today because that band's a little bit tighter. Is just a very, very slow swallow with the band right now. Do you have a circle band?
Yeah, I got 2 of them.
Okay, good. They fit you much better than that one does. But what I would do, and this is what I had JP do as well, that first set under the barbell, you're keeping your knees pushed out, and you're slowly going down with something like that, and then slowly back up, pausing. What we'll do is we'll just do it with the barbell right now. No band around the knees. And what you're doing with that is you're allowing yourself to feel for the coordination of left and right glutes turning on at the right time, so that when you're priming yourself to come up, you're not missing the fact that you're not warmed up appropriately to handle bigger and bigger weight. Okay? What I do have is a couple of these bands. Now, this will not be the exact amount of tension nearly as a prefabricated band, but they will stretch enough to basically give us just a little bit of feeling for it. Let's do this. Let's throw both these under. Let's come under the barbell. Usually stretch just like that. I don't know yours, Jim. Okay. Okay, so let's put both of these on. Okay, so it's not the exact same pull as what a prefabricated band would give us, but it's a little bit of that. Okay, so sit the bar and grab. Now, what I want to do with this is you're going to do a 5-second decline. Okay, descent to the bottom. And what you're feeling for the whole time is whether or not you feel symmetrical at the very bottom. Okay, hold your body position. That's below parallel, right? You've gone before. Okay, now when you come up, pause. Okay, come up, pause, hold it. Feel your butt muscles turning out. Symmetrical? Good. Come up a couple inches. Pause right there. Hold it. Feel symmetrical? Good. Come back up. Hold it. Good. Let's do another one just like that. Slow descent. His problem doesn't occur on the descent, right? He has the mobility problem at the very bottom because his hips turned under because he had poor ankle mobility, which was causing him to lose his natural curve of his spine. That's when he had that problem. And then he shifted on the way up. So he worked the mobility to allow him to get down there all the way with great looking technique. Now we're going to prime his ascent to make sure that he's coordinated on the way up. Does that make sense? Okay, so slow down, 5 seconds. 1, 3, 4, 5. Great looking technique, okay? Hips below parallel, slow on the way up. Hold, pause. Butt muscles are shaking. We're squeezing the ground. We're balanced across all 3 points of the tripod. Butt muscles are turned on. Come up a little bit, pause. Hold right there. Core is braced. Everything's in line. Come back up all the way. Okay, right. That's it. Okay? That's the first warm-up. Then you put weight on and go from there. He doesn't need to do anything else, right? For him, because he squats so much weight, he could do that if you wanted to with like 135 on the bar, 60 kilos if we're talking metric system, right? Okay? But what I'm talking about is he doesn't need to do that with a lot of weight, and his body is now primed and ready to go. Normal warm-ups from there on out, right? You want to be efficient and effective with the corrective exercise that we give. I don't need to give him 7 exercises when all I need to do is be efficient. He's doing 5 exercises. He's a little bit rigid right now, right? Okay? Does that make sense? Now, something like this isn't fixed in a day. No. Right? On each and every single one of these things, we saw right here, 45 minutes, right? We saw a change. He's feeling better. He's making depth. He's feeling like he's more coordinated. He used to do this stuff day in and day out, weeks on end. Right? He doesn't have a competition coming up right now. But leading up to next year, I promise you, with consistency and dedication, he's going to crush it. Because his body's going to be moving forward.
6 months, I'll be at the Arnold, so check me out.
There you go, guys. Right?
By using these exercises to fix his now illuminated problems in mobility and stability, combined with a modified training program to help him wind down his current injury sensitivity and promote proper healing, Kelly is going to come into the 2019 Arnold's a very different lifter.